All rise for the honorable Edmondson.
You may be seated. Well, welcome to my courtroom today. It's so good to see so many of you. I'm sorry that our courtroom has been a little discombobulated this morning. It's taken a little time to get started, but I do appreciate your patience, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Thank you so much for being here to do your civic duty. It means a lot to me and the other fellow members of this court that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come and do your duty here today. Alrighty, well then, we will quickly get started here. We are here to try the case of Tom Robinson against Mayella Eula, the accused over here. Mr. Looney, good to see you. I'm sorry, I can't. Mr. Gilmer, so good to see you back in my courtroom here today. Would you like to begin with your opening statement? And let me just, as you get started and make your way up here, jury members, it is your duty throughout the trial today to take notes on everything that is said here. That includes the opening and closing statements. So you'll want to take copious notes. That means very detailed, very specific notes, so that you'll be able to perfectly make and return a verdict at the end of our trial here today. All right, Mr. Gilmer, you may begin.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Horace Gilmer, and I'm here to represent on behalf of Miss Mayella Eula. Thank you each for being here and serving your civic duty. Although this case may seem redundant, as we all know I'm sure what happened, it still has been brought to the courtroom to ensure that necessary justice will come. I will assure you I'm not here to waste your time, but rather to seek justice for my client. Together today we will find the truth using the compassion in our hearts, and we will wish to get to that point sooner than later. Let me begin by introducing you to our poor Mayella. She's a hardworking citizen, devoted to making the best out of everything, struggling every day to make ends meet, while upkeeping a full house of children, all the young, innocent age of only 19. Throughout this trial, all evidence presented will prove to you that our brave Miss Mayella Eula has in fact been raped by Tom Robinson. My opponent will try to convince you that his client is innocent. However, the facts, as I'm sure you'll see, clearly show he's guilty of a very vile thing he's been accused of. I trust you that you will not be swayed by naive and misguided impressions of the defendant. A leopard does not change his spots, and we all know what men like him are capable of. They are not to be trusted in the presence of our women, and indeed put their lives in danger. Mayella deserves peace of mind in the knowledge that her attacker is safely behind bars, serving his time for this heinous crime. Give her that peace and return a guilty verdict.
Thank you, Mr. Gilmer.
Yeah.
Mr. Finch.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the courts. My name is... Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, the kids.
Good morning, ladies and
Hands off, by the way, in the courtroom, out of respect, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the court. My name is Atticus Finch, and I appreciate everyone for coming out to support this trial and help serve the community. My client's name is Tom Robinson, and he was falsely accused of raping a young maiden by the name of Mayella Eula. I will reveal to you the true story, not the made-up story the Eulas over here have made up to cover up the evidence of a family dispute. Discard any past prejudice or bias against the black population and realize what is truly happening to Tom, a man who has been falsely accused of a hideous crime. I strongly believe that the Eula family is not only lying to the judge, but the entire county of Macomb. I promise everybody in this courtroom that I will get justice for my client and reveal the Eula's true identity. Thank you.
Thank you, Atticus. All right, well, I understand we have one shared witness. Atticus, would you like to call that witness to the stand?
Yes, Sheriff Hectate.
Good to see you, Horace.
Sheriff Hectate, put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. And repeat after me. I promise. Promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
So help me God.
Please tell us what happened in your own words, Mr. Tate.
Well, I was called.
Could you say it to the jury, Mr. Tate? Thank you.
I was fetched
called
by
you?
Bob. I was fetched by Bob, Mr. Bob Ewell yonder, one night.
One night, sir.
It was the night of November 21st. I was leaving my office to go home when Mr. Ewell yonder came in. Very excited he was. He said to get out quick. Some nigger raped his girl.
Did you go?
Okay. Certainly. I got in the car and went as fast as I could.
And what did you find?
Found her lying on the floor in the middle of the front room. One on the right as you go in. She was pretty and well beat up. But I heaved her to her feet and washed her face in a bucket in the corner, and she was all right. I asked her who hurt her, and she said it was Tom Robinson. Asked her if he beat her like that. She said yes, he had. Asked her if he took advantage of her, and she said yes, he did. So I went down to Robinson's house and brought him back. She identified him as one, so I took him in. That's all there was to it.
Thank you.
Any questions, Atticus?
Yes. Did you call a doctor, Sheriff? Did
No,
anybody
sir.
call a doctor?
No,
You didn't
sir.
call a doctor?
No, sir.
Why not?
Well, I can tell you why I didn't. It wasn't necessary, Mr. Finch. She was mighty banged up. Something so happened. It was obvious.
But you didn't call a doctor. While you were there, did anyone send for one, fetch one, carry to him one?
No, sir.
Do you speak?
Atticus, he's answered the question several times. Can we move on?
I just want to make sure, Judge. Sheriff, you say she was mildly beat up. In what way?
Well,
Just describe her injuries, heck.
she was beaten around the head. There were mighty bruises coming from her arms, and it happened about 30
How do you know?
Sorry, that's what they said. Anyway, she was pretty bruised up when I got there, and she had a black eye coming.
Which eye?
Let's see.
Can't you remember?
Her left.
Wait a minute, Sheriff. Was it her left facing you, or her left looking the same way you were?
Oh yes, that made it her right. It was her right arm, Mr. Finch. I remember how she was bunged up on that side of her face.
Sheriff, please repeat what you said.
It was her right eye, I said.
No.
He said, Mr. Finch, I remember now. She was bunged up on that side of her face.
Which side again, heck?
The right side, Mr. Finch, but she had more bruises. You want to hear about them?
Yes. What was her other injury?
Her arm was bruised and showed me her neck. There were definite finger marks on her gullet.
All around her throat, at the back of her neck?
I'd say they were all around, Mr. Finch.
You would?
Yes, sir. She had a small throat. Anybody could reach around it.
Just answer the question, yes or no, please, Sheriff.
Thank you very much, Hank. All right, now I notice that some members of our jury are taking very good notes and others of you are staring into space. This is the time that you need to take very detailed notes because when it comes time to determining the verdict, you need to have detailed reasons why. After all, this man and his family's future is at stake, and you need to be the one, since it's in your hands, to make some very capable decisions based solely on the facts. So the more information you write down, the better off you'll be. Understood? All right. Mr. Gilmore, would you like to call your next witness?
Mr. Robert Ewell.
Don't mind if I do. Robert, you lay you will put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. Be after me. I promise to tell the truth,
I promise to tell the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
You may be seated.
Mr. Robert Ewell.
That's my name, Captain.
Are you the father of Miss Mayella Ewell?
Well, if I can't do nothing about it now, her ma's dead.
Are you the father of Mary Ewell?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, There'll be no more audibly obscene speculations in my courtroom as long as I'm sitting here. Do you understand, Mr. Yule? All right, you may proceed, Mr. Gilmer.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Yule, would you tell us in your own words what happened on the evening of November 21st, please?
Well, not November 21. I was coming in from the woods, loaded kindling, and I just got to the fence. I heard Mayella screaming like a stuck hog inside the house.
What time was it, Mr. Yule?
Just before sundown. Well, I was saying, Mayella was screaming fit to beat Jesus.
Yes, she was screaming.
Well, Mayella was raising this holy racket, so I dropped me loading and I ran as fast as I could, but I ran into the fence. But when I got disabled, I ran to the window and I seen that black nigger yonder run on my Mayella.
Mr. Yule! There has been a request that this courtroom be cleared of spectators, and at least of women and children, a request that I have denied for the time being. After all, people generally see what they look for and hear what they listen for, and they have the right to subject their children to it. But Mr. Yule, I can assure you of one thing. You will receive what you see and hear in silence, and you will leave this courtroom the whole boiling lot of you if you can't get this together and get this under control. Do you understand me?
Yes.
There will be, again, Mr. Yule, you will keep your testimony within the confines of Christian English usage. If that's possible. Proceed, Mr. Gilmer.
Mr. Yule, did you see the defendant having sexual intercourse with your daughter?
Yes, I did.
You say you were at the window.
Yes, sir.
How far is it from the ground?
About 3 foot.
Did you have a clear view of the room?
Yes, sir.
How did the room look?
Well, it was all slung about like there was a fight.
What did you do when you saw the defendant?
Well, I run around the house to get in, but he ran out the front door just ahead of me. I saw who he was all right. I was too distracted about Mayella to run after him. I ran in the house and she was lying on the floor all swallowed.
Then what did you do?
Why? I ran for Tate as quick as I could. I know who it was all right. Lived down yonder in that nigger nest past the house every day. Judge, if I asked this county for 15 years to clean out the nest down yonder, they're dangerous to live around, besides devoling my property.
Thank you, Mr. Yule.
Just a minute, sir. Can I ask you a question or two?
Yeah.
Mr. Yule, folks were doing a lot of running that night. Let's see, you ran to the house, to the window, you ran inside, you ran to Mayella, you ran from Mr. Tate. During all this running, did you call a doctor?
Wasn't no need to. I seen what happened.
But there's one thing I don't understand. Weren't you concerned about Mayella's condition?
I most positively was. I seen who done it.
No, I mean her physical condition. Did you not think the nature of her injuries warranted immediate medical attention?
What?
Didn't you think she should have called a doctor immediately?
I never thought of it. I never called a doctor in my life, and if I had, it would have cost me $5. That's all.
Not quite. Mr. Yule, you heard the sheriff's testimony, didn't you?
Yes.
Do you agree with his description of Mayella's injuries?
How's that?
Mr. Tate testified that her right eye was blackened and she was beaten around the...
Oh yeah, I hold with everything Tate said.
You do. I just want to make sure.
Tate said which eye? Her left. Oh yes, that'd make it her right. It was her right eye, Mr. Finch. I remember now, she was bunged up on that side of the face. Sheriff, please repeat what you said. It was her right eye, I said.
Thank you, Bert. You heard it again, Mr. Yule. Do you have anything to add to it? Do you agree with the sheriff?
I holds with Tate. Her eyes was black, and she was mighty beat up.
Mr. Yule, can you read or write?
Objection! Can't see what witness's literacy has to do with the case. Irrelevant and immaterial.
Judge, if you allow the question plus another one, you'll soon see.
Overruled, but make sure we see, Atticus.
I'll repeat the question. Can you read or write?
I most positively can.
Will you write your name and show us?
I most positively will. How do you think I sign my relief checks? go. College.
It's very interesting, Mr. Yule.
What's so interesting?
Why, you're left-handed.
I don't know what being left-handed has to do with anything. I'm a Christ-fearing man, and this Atticus Finch is taking advantage of me. Lord's like him are always doing that to me. I told you what happened, I'll say it again and again.
That's all the questions I have.
About your writing with your left hand, are you ambidextrous, Mr.
I
Yule?
most positively am not. I can use one hand as good as the other. One hand as good as the other.
Thank you, Mr. Yule. You're dismissed.
Good to see you, Mr. Yule. Horace, would you call your next witness?
Mayla.
Male.
Well, you'll place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I promise to tell the truth,
I promise to tell the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
nothing but the truth,
and nothing but the truth.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Mayla, please tell the jury in your own words what happened on the evening of November 21st of last year. Just in your own words, please. Where were you on the dusk of that evening?
On the porch.
Which porch?
Ain't but one, the front porch.
What were you doing on the porch?
Nothing.
Just tell us what happened. Why, you can do that, can't you? Well, that's enough, Ed. Well, don't you be afraid of anybody here. Well, as long as you tell the truth. All this must be strange to you, I know. But you've got nothing to be ashamed of and nothing to fear. What are you scared of? I'm going to have to ask you to be more specific. What was that?
Him.
Mr. Finch?
Don't want him doing me like he done Papa, trying to make me out left-handed.
Well, Mr. Finch has no idea of scaring you. And if it ain't it, that's why I'm here. I'm here to protect you and to stop him. Why, you're a big girl, so you just sit up and tell us what happened. You can do that, can't you?
Well, sir, I was on the porch, and he came along, and you see, there was this old chipper robe in the yard. Papa had brought it up to chop up for some kindling. Papa told me to do it while he was off in the woods, but I wasn't feeling strong enough then, so he came back.
Who's he?
I'm going to have to ask you to be more specific, Miss Mayla, and speak up a little bit.
That and yonder, Robinson.
Then what happened?
I said, come here, nigger, and he busted this chipper robe for me. I got a nickel for you. He could have done it easy enough. He could. So he come in the yard, and I went in the house and get him the nickel and turned around. And before I knew it, he was on me. Just run up behind me, he did. He got me round the neck, cussing me and saying dirt. I fought and hollered, but he had me round the neck. He hit me again and again. He chucked me on the floor, and he choked me and took advantage of me.
Did you scream? Did you scream and fight back?
Reckon I did. Hollered for all I was worth. Kicked and hollered as loud as I could.
Then what happened?
I don't remember too good. The next thing I knew, Papa was in the room and standing over me, hollering, "Who done it? Who done it?" Then I sort of fainted, and the next thing I knew, Mr. Tate was pulling me off the floor and leading me to the water bucket.
You say you fought him off as hard as you could. Fought him tooth and nail.
I positively did.
You are positive that he took full advantage of you.
He done what he was after.
That's all for the time being, but you stay there. I expect big, bad Mr. Finch has some questions to ask you.
State will not prejudice the witness against the jury. At least not this time, thank you.
Miss Mayella, I won't try to scare you for a while. At least not yet. Let's just get acquainted. How old are you?
Said I was 19. Said it to the judge yonder.
So you did. So you did, ma'am. You'll have to bear with me, Miss Mayella. I'm getting long and I can't remember as well as I used to. I might ask some things you've already said before, but you will give me an answer, won't you? Good.
Won't answer a word you say, long as you keep on mocking me.
Ma'am?
Long as you keep on making fun of me.
Well, Mr. Finch is not making fun of you. What's the matter with you, child?
Long as he keep on calling me Miss Mayella, I don't have to take his sass. I ain't called upon to take it.
Edkis?
You say you're 19. How many brothers and sisters have you?
7?
You the eldest? The oldest?
Yes.
How long has your mother been dead?
Don't know, long time.
Did you ever go to school?
Read and write as good as Papa yonder.
How long did you go to school?
2 year, 3 year, don't know.
Miss Mel, a 19-year-old girl like you must have friends. Who are your friends?
Friends?
Yes, don't you know anyone near your age or older or younger, boys or girls? Just ordinary friends?
You making fun of me again, Mr. Finch?
Do you love your father, Miss Mel?
Love him? What you mean?
I mean, is he good to you? Easy to get along with?
He does tolerable, except when nothing. I said he does tolerable.
Except when he's drinking. Oh. Does he ever go after you?
How you mean?
When he's wild, does he ever beating you?
I don't beat her.
Mr. Yule,
Yes.
don't make me talk to you again.
I'm sorry.
My pa's never touched a hair on my head in my life. He never touched me.
We had a good visit, Miss Mel. Now I guess we better get to the case. You say you asked Tom Robinson to chop up what was it, a chifferoni?
A chifferobe, an old dresser full of drawers on one side.
Was Tom Robinson well known to you?
What do you mean?
I mean, did you know who he was, where he lived?
I know who he was. He passed the house every day.
Was this the first time you asked him to come inside the fence? Was.
Yes, it was.
Didn't you ever ask him to come inside the fence before?
I did not. I certainly did not.
One did not's not enough. You never asked him to do odd jobs before?
I might have. There were several niggers around.
Can't you remember any other occasions?
No.
Well, all right now. Now to what happened. You said Tom Robinson was behind you in the room when you turned around. That right?
Yes.
You said he got you around the neck, cussing and saying dirt. That
That's
right?
right.
You
That's
say he caught me and choked me and took advantage of me. Is that right?
That's what I said.
Do you remember him beating you around the face? You seem sure enough that he choked you. All this time you were fighting back. Remember you kicked and hollered as loud as you could. Do you remember him beating you around the face? It's an easy question, Miss Mills, so I'll try again. Do you remember him beating you around the face? Do you remember him beating you around the face?
No, I don't recollect if he hit me. I mean, yes, I do. He hit me.
Was your last sentence your answer?
Huh? Yes, he hit. I just don't remember. It all happened so quick.
Now don't you cry, young woman.
Judge, let her cry all she wants. We have all the time in the world.
I'll answer any question you got. Get me up here and mock me, will you? I'll answer any question you
That's
got.
fine. There's only a few more, Miss Mailer. Not to be tedious. You testified that the defendant hit you, grabbed you around the neck, choked you, and took advantage of you. I want to be sure you have the right man. Will you identify the man who raped you?
I will. That's right, him yonder.
Tom, stand up. Let Miss Mailer have a good long look at you. Is this the man, Miss Mailer?
It most certainly is.
How?
I don't know how he done it, but he done it. I said it all happened so fast.
Now, let's consider this calmly.
Objection! Atticus is not irrelevant or immaterial, but he is browbeating the witness.
Oh, sit down, Horace. He's doing nothing of the sort. Why, if anything, the witness is browbeating Atticus.
Now, Miss Mailer, you've testified that the defendant has choked you, beat you, knocked you cold, but you turned around and there he was. Do you wish to reconsider any of your testimony?
You want me to say something that didn't happen?
No, ma'am. I want you to say something that did happen.
I told you what happened.
You testified that you turned around and there he was. He choked you then,
Yes,
then he released your throat and he hit you.
I said he did.
Blacked out your left eye with his right fist.
I ducked it. It glanced. That's what it did. I ducked it and glanced off.
I have a hunch that you're coming suddenly clear on this point. A while ago, you couldn't remember well, could you?
I said he hit me.
All right. He choked you, he hit you, and he raped you. Is that right?
It most certainly is.
You're a strong girl. What were you doing during this time? Just standing there?
I told you, I hollered and kicked and fought.
All right. Why didn't you run?
I was scared.
Why didn't you run?
I tried.
Tried to. What kept you from it?
He slung me down. That's what he
You
did.
were screaming all this time?
I certainly
Then why didn't
was.
the other children hear you? Where were they at? Dump, where were they? Or didn't you scream until you saw your father in the window? You didn't think to scream until then, did you? What did your father see in the window? The crime of rape or the best defense to it? Why didn't you tell the truth, child? Didn't Bob Yule beat you up?
I got something to say.
Do you want to tell us what happened?
I got something to say, and then I ain't gonna say no more. That nigger yonder took advantage of me, and if you fine fancy gentlemen don't want to do nothing about it, then you're all yellow stinking cowards, the lot of you. Your fancy airs don't come to nothing. Your mammon and Miss Mayella don't come to nothing, Mr. Finch.
Thank you, Miss Mayella.
Good job, Mayella.
Mr. Gilmer, I understand you have one more witness to call, is that correct?
Yes. Miss Bonnie Yule.
Go get it, Bob.
You will place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand up and repeat after me. I promise to tell the truth,
I promise to tell the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Where were you at the time of the alleged crime?
I was down at the parlor getting with the Chinmans getting ice cream.
Was the trip to the ice cream store your idea or Mayella's idea? Was this an unusual occurrence?
Mayella wanted to treat us for ice cream, so she gave me the money and sent us on our way. It was kind of her, because we don't get to do that stuff very often.
When you returned to the house, what did you see?
When I returned, I seen my sister all banged up. She got lots of bruises. Everyone was crowding around her and trying to help her. It scared me to see her like that.
Tell us about your relationship with Mayella. What kind of sister is she to you?
She's a very kind person. She cares for all of us siblings, kind of like the mom we never had. She tends our yard, planting all the flowers. Mayella does her best keeping it in good shape.
Could you describe your sister Mayella's injuries?
Mayella had bruises on her neck, a black eye, and scratches on her body.
Could you describe your father Bob's injuries?
When I came back, I didn't see nothing on him.
How often does your father drink?
He an alcoholic, so about every day. The whole town know that, though. Nothing to hide.
How old are you?
I'm 17, Mr. Finch.
Tell us about your relationship with your father. How does he take care of you and your siblings?
My daddy and me are close, I suppose. He tries his best to take care of us as he can.
Have you ever visited a doctor?
I reckon not.
Did anyone call a doctor? In your opinion, were their injuries bad enough to require a doctor?
Daddy could never afford to take us. Well, in that, we never been hurt enough to pay the doctor a visit.
Mayella testified that he's tolerable, except when he's drinking. Do you agree with her testimony? Is your father a violent drunk?
Yes, I agree, but we stay clear of his path.
Has your father been beaten?
No, sir.
Do you know the defendant, Tom Robinson? What interaction, if any, have you had with him?
I seen him around. Seemed to be pretty nasty when it came to giving him work.
Before this alleged crime, what was your impression of Tom Robinson?
He came off as a strange fellow, always lingering around in our yard on his way home from work.
In your opinion, did Tom rape your sister Mayella?
I do believe Tom Robinson raped my sister.
Are you aware that Tom Robinson is married with children? What would cause a family man to commit a crime like this?
I always seen Tom by our house coming home from work. No man stays loyal. I seen the way he looking at my sister.
That's all.
Thank you very much, Bonnie. Horace, do you have any more witnesses to call? All right. Atticus, we'll move on to your witness list.
Yeah, I call it Tom Robinson.
Okay.
I want you to place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I promise to tell the truth,
I promise to tell the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth,
nothing but the truth.
so help me God.
So help me
Let me go.
Welcome, Tom.
It must have been,
You can ask questions. You can ask questions. You ask questions. Atticus, would you please begin your questions? Rephrase those as questions.
shit. Tom, how old are you?
I'm 25 years old.
You married?
Yes, sir.
You have any children?
I have 3 children.
Have you ever been in trouble with the law before?
Yes, sir. I got a 30-day misdemeanor.
It must have been disorderly. What did it consist of?
Got in a fight with a man. He tried to cut me.
Did he succeed?
Yes, sir. Not enough to hurt, you see.
Yes, but you were both convicted?
Yes, sir. I had to serve because I couldn't pay my fine. The other guy paid his in.
Were you acquainted with Miss Myella Violet Youth?
Yes, sir. I had to pass a place going to and from the field every day.
Whose field?
I worked for Mr. Link Deeds.
Were you picking cotton in November?
No, sir. I worked for him fall and winter time. I say I worked for him pretty steady all year. He's got lots of trees and pecans and things. Or pecan trees. That's what I meant.
You say you have to pass the Yule place to get to and from work. Is there any other way to go to?
No, sir. None as I know of.
Tom, did she ever speak to you?
Yes, sir. I tip my hat when I go by. And one day she asked me to come inside, fence up and bust up a chip roll.
When did she ask you to bust up this chifferover?
Mr. Finch, it was way last spring. I remember because it was chopping time. All I had was this hoe. I told her, all I got is this hoe. And she told me she has a hatchet. She gave me the hatchet. I broke the chipper. She said, I reckon I best give you a nickel. I said, no ma'am, there ain't no charge needed. Then I went home, Mr. Finch. That was way last spring.
Did you ever go to the place again?
Yes, sir.
When?
Well, sir, I went lots of times.
Under what circumstances?
Please, sir.
Why did you go inside the fence lots of times?
She called me in, sir. Seemed like every time I passed by yonder, she'd have something for me to do, some kindling to chop, something to do. You know, she watered them flowers every day.
Were you paid for your services?
No, sir. Never since she had offered me that first nickel. I was glad to do it, Mr. Ewell. Didn't seem to help her. What Mr. Ewell didn't seem to help enough. And I knew she didn't have a penny to spare.
Were there any other children?
Yes, sir. There was children all over the place. They'd watch me work. Some of them even come through the window.
Would Miss Mal talk to you?
Yes, sir, she talked to me.
Did she ever at any time go on the Yule property? Did you ever set foot on the Yule property without an express invitation from either one of them?
No, sir, I'd never do that.
Tom, what happened to you on the evening of November 21st of last year?
Mr. Ewell, sir, I was coming home as usual. I was walking past the place and I saw her. She was on the porch. It was real quiet. I didn't know why. I was studying why. And so she told me she had something to do. So I come in the backyard. She said, no, I got something for you to do on the inside. She said, there's a busted door up in there. And I said, okay, I'll check it out. So I go in. And I went in the front room and I said, you got a screwdriver? And she said, sure had. So I got that screwdriver and I looked at that door. Mr. Finch, that door was all fine. There was nothing wrong with that door. I pushed it, I shoved it, that door was mighty fine. So I looked at Miss Mayella, I said, Miss Mayella, this door is looking mighty fine. And she says, I forgot what she said.
Tom, you need to tell us what she said.
Miss Mayella, I told her that door looked right. I pulled it and there was nothing wrong with that. And so then she slammed the door in my face. Mr. Finch, I was wondering why it was so quiet like, and there was no chill. True.
Mr. Yule? How many times do I have to ask you to stop interrupting? Do you understand that this is your last chance in my courtroom? courtroom. I'll be damned if I try this trial again.
Yes, sir, I do it.
One more audibly obscene speculation from you, and you will find yourself in all county jail. Do you understand?
It's lit.
All right. Mr. Gilmore, possible? Atticus, we can proceed.
What did you say then, Tom?
I said something like, well, she took them kids to ice cream. Well, she didn't take them to ice cream. She gave them kids some money and Bonnie took them down to the ice cream store. Now I said that was mighty smart of you, mighty nice to do that for them children. But I don't think she took that the right way. She understood it in a different way than I was saying. I mean, it was very nice of her and it was good to treat him like that.
I understand, Tom. Go on.
Well, I said I best be going. I couldn't do nothing for her. And she said, oh, yes, I could. She said, I got something up on that chiffer rope you can get up there. So I got that off the top of the chiffer rope.
Not the same chip rope you busted up, was it?
No, sir. It was another one. Most tall as the room. So I done what she told me. Now I was just reaching. The next thing I know, she grabbed me around the legs. Mr. Finch, she grabbed me real hard. Mr. Finch, she scared me. I hopped down. I turned the chair over. That was the only piece of furniture I moved, Mr. Finch. The only thing.
What happened after you turned the chair over? Tom, you're sworn to tell the whole truth. Will you tell it? What
Answer the
happened?
question, Tom.
What happened?
Mr. Finch, I got down off that chair and I turned around. She sort of jumped me.
Jumped on you? Violently?
No, sir. She hugged me. She hugged me around the waist.
And what did she do?
She reached up and kissed me in the side of the face. She said,
Mr. Yule, I am done with you.
I'm done with you, Judge.
Bailiff Elmer, will you please pop on over there and handcuff Mr. Yule? We're going to get you out of my courtroom, Mr. Yule.
It's something, please.
Hey, watch your language, otherwise I'll put you up for swearing in front of the females in this courtroom. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
Not another word from you, Mr. Yule.
Go find another bottle of beer.
You won't find any in the tank. Good luck trying now. Thank you, Mr. Elmo. Sorry about that. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will expunge everything you have just seen, which means you will discount Mr. Yule's crazy antics and just disregard them. They cannot be part of your original testimony and decisions when you come to making your verdict. Is that understood? I apologize for such rude proceedings and the fact that you had to see them in my courtroom.
Tom, you may continue.
she said she never kissed a grown man before. She might as well kiss a nigger. She says what a papa do don't count. She says, kiss me back, nigga. I say, Miss Mayella, let me out of here. I tried to run, but she backed to the door, and I'd have had to push her. I didn't want to harm her, Mr. Finch. And I say, let me pass, but when I say it, Mr. Yule yonder hollered through the window.
What did he say?
Sir, he said something not fitting to say, not fitting for these folks and children to hear.
Tom, you sworn to tell the truth. What did he say? You must tell the jury.
He told his daughter, he said, you a goddamn whore, I kill you.
Then what happened?
Mr. Finch, I was running so fast I didn't even know what happened.
Tom, did you rape Miss Mayella Yule?
I did not, sir.
Did you harm her in any way?
I did not, sir.
Did you resist her advances?
Mr. Finch, I tried. I tried without being ugly to her. I didn't want to be ugly. I didn't want to push her or nothing.
Tom, go back once more to Mr. Yule. Did he say anything to you?
Not anything, sir. He might have had something. He might have had something, but
That'll do. What did you hear? Who was he talking to?
Mr. Finch, he was talking and looking at Miss Mayella.
Then you booked it?
I sure did, sir.
Why did you run?
I was scared, sir.
Why was you scared?
Mr. Finch, if you was a nigga like me, you'd be scared too.
I would.
I just want the whole lot of you to know one thing right now. That boy's worked for me for 8 years, and I haven't had a speck trouble out of him. Not a speck.
Mr. Langtige, you will shut your mouth, sir! Oh my gosh, I can't believe this courtroom today! Mr. Dees, you of all people! Mr. to see this not just once, but twice. Again, you will have to expunge Mr. Linkdeed's comments and not take them into account when you determine your verdict. I am so sorry. We're going to be here forever. Horace, do you have any questions?
Yes. You were given 30 days for disorderly conduct, Robinson.
Yes, sir.
What did the nigger look like when you got through with him?
You beat me, Mr. Gilmer.
Yes, but you were convicted, weren't you?
Yes, sir. I got 30 days.
Robinson, you're pretty good at busting up chip rubs and kindling with one hand, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I reckon so.
Strong enough to choke the breath out of a woman and sling her to the floor.
I've never done that, sir.
But you are strong enough to.
I reckon so.
Had your eye on her a long time, haven't you?
No, sir. I never looked at her.
Then you were mighty polite to do all that shopping and hauling for her, weren't you?
I was just trying to help out, sir.
That was mighty generous of you. You had chores at home after your regular work, didn't you?
Oh, yes, I did, sir.
Why didn't you do them instead of Miss Yule's?
I've done them both.
You must have been pretty busy. Why?
Why what, sir?
Why were you so anxious to do that woman's chores?
Looked like she didn't have nobody to help her. Like I says.
With Mr. Yule and 7 children on the place?
Tried to help her, I says.
You're a mighty good fellow. It seems. Did all this for not 1 penny.
Yes, sir. I felt right sorry for her. She seemed to try more than the rest of them.
You felt sorry for her? You felt sorry for her? No, you went by the house as usual last November 21st, and she asked you to come in and bust up a chipper robe?
No, sir.
Do you deny that you went by the house?
No, sir. She said she had something for me to do inside the house.
She says she asked you to bust up a chip robe. Is that right?
No, sir, it ain't.
Then you say she's lying.
No, sir, I didn't say she's lying. I say she's mistaken in the head.
Didn't Mr. Yule run you off the place?
No, sir. I don't think he did.
Don't think? What do you mean?
I mean, I didn't stay in long enough for him to run me off.
You're very candid about this. Why did you run so fast?
I says I was scared, sir.
If you had a clear conscience, why were you scared?
Tom?
Sorry, I got confused there.
Why were you scared if you had a clear conscience?
Like I says before, if it weren't safe for a nigger to be in a fix like that.
But you weren't in a fix. You testified that you were resisting Miss Yule. Were you so scared that she hurt you, you ran? A big buck like you?
No, sir. I was scared I'd be in court, just like I am now.
Scared of arrest. Scared you would have to face up for what you did.
No, sir. Scared I'd have to face up for what I didn't do.
Are you being imprudent to me, boy?
No, sir. I didn't go to be.
That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Gilmore. Thank you, Tom. All right. Atticus, do you have any more witnesses?
No, sir, I don't.
And then I suppose we're ready to get to our closing statements. Mr. Underwood, I think the best place for you might be over there by the door.
Oh.
So, Horace, I do believe we agreed that you would go first for your closing statement. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. People of the jury, I'd like to thank you for coming out today to ensure that justice is brought. I would also like to thank our poor Mayella for being so brave as to come here today and speak up for all of us. I know how difficult this must have been for you. A criminal sits among us today, as well as an innocent victim. As I'm sure we can all see, Tom Robinson has committed a horrible crime in having raped this innocent young woman. He has openly admitted to his presence at the time of the crime, even though he is denied, for his own sake, actually committing the crime. But how could anyone really go in to believe him? To think that Mayella, a young, innocent girl with enough on her plate already, would ever think to kiss someone like him? Look at him, a strong, powerful man. Can you honestly believe that he would be overpowered by a small young woman? To even suggest that a self-respecting girl as her would even think of kissing someone like him is beyond my imagination. Look at the evidence, folks. Look at the people before you here today. Isn't the truth obvious? Enough skirting around the truth, trying to place blame on others. Hasn't the poor girl been through enough to not turn around and put her on trail? Hasn't it been hard enough for her to just admit what happened to her? Do we need to drag embarrassment on further? Do you, as self-respecting citizens, actually take the word of him over the accounts of 3 upstanding citizens, including our own sheriff? What happened the night is obvious. Why this case is still going beyond belief. Tom, as he admitted, was at Miss Yule's house on November 21st, and there he took advantage of his position and raped her. There is nothing more to this case. Atticus has presented us with no real evidence besides the word of a criminal, convicted of 1 crime already. He says he wanted us to help her out, that he felt bad for her. Him work on his own chores of his own, a family of his own, felt the need to help her. Her with a whole house of people to help. Her so much above him, and yet he felt sorry for her. And to think him innocent and to accuse Mr. Yule, a loving father who has shown us nothing but support for his daughter, to have beat his daughter, to have lied to all of us. The truth of the night is obvious. In the end, folks, it comes down to what you're willing to believe. The concoctions of a criminal, the likes of him, or the truth told by not 1, but 3 of our friends. Honest, hard-working people who have nothing to gain from lying. If anything, their story has been hard for them to share. With this in mind, I place the fate of the case in your hands. I can only hope that you can see through the lie and find the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilmer. Mr. Finch?
Gentlemen, I shall be brief. I would like to use my remaining time with you to remind you that this case is not a difficult one. It requires no minute of shifting of complicated facts, but it does require you to be sure, beyond all reasonable doubt, to the guilt of the defendant. To begin with this case should have never come to trial. This case is as simple as black and white. The state has not produced 1 iota of medical evidence. To the dim-witted, like Mr. Gilmer, that means evidence. The crime Tom Robinson charged never took place. It has only been relied instead of the testimony of 2 witnesses whose evidence has not only been called into serious question on cross-examination, it has been flatly contradicted by the defendant. The defendant is not guilty, but someone in this courtroom is. And you said Bob Yule was an outstanding citizen. He has done nothing and is nothing but the town drunk. He has never supported his daughters. He only supports a bottle of whiskey. I say guilt, gentlemen, because it is guilt that motivated her. He has committed no crime, but only broken a rigid and time-honored code of our society. A code so severe that whoever breaks it is hounded from our midst as unfit to live with. She is the victim of cruel poverty and ignorance, but I cannot pity her. She is wise. She knew full well the enormity of her offense because her desires were stronger than the code she was breaking. She persisted in breaking it. She was wild, and she tempted a Negro. I'm no idealist to believe firmly in the integrity of our courts and in the jury system. That is no ideal to me. It is a living, working reality. Gentlemen, a court is no better than each man of you sitting before me in the jury. A court is only as sound as its jury, and a jury is only as sound as the men who make it up. I am confident that you gentlemen will review without passion the evidence that you heard. Come to the decision and restore this defendant to his family. In the name of God, do your duty.
Thank you, Atticus. Well, we've heard all of the testimony and the words of our counsel here today. Now the hands of this gentleman right here and his family rests in your capable hands, jury. You will have the next several minutes to go out and to determine, to deliberate would be the word, a verdict for this trial. I'm going to suggest, given our length of time here and the fact that we got started so late, we're going to run a little into the bell, and that's okay. I'll write your passes. Please don't panic, because we can't skip this most important part. So in our first section area right here, I'm going to put Mr. Loza in charge of writing down your determinations and filling out our verdict worksheet, whether Tom is innocent or guilty. And then in the back, I'm going to put, who should I put in charge? Why, Mr. Riley, are you okay if I put you in charge? All right, Mr. Olson, I'm going to put you in charge of taking notes and coming up with a verdict for you back too. So in just a few minutes, or in just a sec, if you would turn around to the group behind you and right in your seats, just take this time to determine a verdict. Before you do, let me keep in mind that this is a man's life and his family's life at stake. So I expect you to take and weigh only the evidence, not your personal opinions, into account as you're making this decision. And you must determine this with the most close of scrutiny and severity. Do you understand me? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, do you agree? Would you raise your right hands? Raise your. We, the gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, do solemnly swear to only take into account the facts in this case and to return a just verdict based on those facts. Thank you very much.